I don't know what the point of this fragrance is anymore, and maybe it's just less relevant. What do you guys think? This might be a controversial take. Whether it's because the fragrance overly relies on synthetics or because there is a change of taste with the passage of time, there are some fragrances in the modern market nowadays that are just not worth buying anymore. Usually there are better alternatives and your money is usually spent better elsewhere. So we have 10 fragrances today that I'm going to discuss that I think are classics, fair enough, but are kind of irrelevant in the more competitive modern market. Let's begin. Armaf's Club de Nuit Intense Man, the Eau de Toilette. I'm holding the Eau de Parfum here in my hands. The original Eau de Toilette really set off the game for the Cologne market, let's say, where a Middle Eastern brand will take a very expensive niche fragrance, in this case, Creed Aventus, and make it more easily accessible for a much better price. Club de Nuit Intense Man Eau de Toilette smells a bit brash. It's not the best version of Creed Aventus anymore. It's not the best version of Club de Nuit. The Eau de Parfum here is fantastic. The limited edition Parfum, which doesn't seem to be limited edition at all anymore. He seems to be always available now. That is smoother as well, so it might be even better than the Eau de Parfum. I've only sprayed one fragrance spray on my hand, so I haven't really tested it properly, but it seems quite smooth. There are a bajillion clones of Creed Aventus. You don't really need it. Of course, Aventus Absolute, some people say it smells even better than Aventus, and there are clones of that also, like Club de Nuit Intense Man Precieux or Afnan Supremacy Collector's Edition. And even outside of the Club de Nuit Intense line, for the original Aventus, I've always said L'Aventure and L'Aventure Intense, which I haven't tested properly yet in fairness, but that line in general is quite accurate to Aventus. Club de Nuit Intense Man Eau de Parfum is what you go for compliments, and L'Aventure is generally what you go for more accuracy. Viktor&Rolf Spicebomb Extreme. You may have noticed that no one really talks about this fragrance anymore since it got reformulated. Apparently it's got gutted to like a third of its usual performance, which kind of makes it a little bit irrelevant. Kind of the whole premise of this fragrance is that it's extreme. It's meant to have a great performance. It's meant to be Christmas in the bottle, spices, cinnamon, cumin, tobacco, vanilla, really intense, beautiful. I think nowadays if you want an intense Christmas-esque fragrance, you might go for something like Parfum de Marly Oajan. That's one of the best fragrances in Parfum de Marly. Or you can go for the Spicebomb Infrared Eau de Parfum flanker, which is beastly. It's a different take on this DNA. It's not exactly the same, but if this is gutted now, I don't know what the point of this fragrance is anymore, and maybe it's just less relevant. What do you guys think? This might be a controversial take. The original Dior Sauvage Eau de Toilette. Not only is the Parfum concentration better in my opinion, but also Sauvage, at this point, I think it's now, what, 10 years old? I think it came out in 2015, if I'm correct. This smells basic now, especially to us fragrance collectors. There's a good number of clones for Sauvage. It's so basic, so well known now, even probably to non-frag heads, honestly. It's so prevalent and widespread. Good for them, but I feel like as fragrance collectors, this is becoming less relevant. It is synthetic as well. It's kind of revolutionary for its time in the mid-2010s, but nowadays in mid-2020s, do you still want to reach for something like this? There are better alternatives. There's stuff like Afnan Turathi Blue that's even better, honestly, for something more modern, in my opinion. It's more simple in fairness, fair enough, okay, but you know, I feel like that's what, a third of the price of Sauvage, and it's a little bit less worn, that DNA. So I don't know, I kind of feel like Sauvage Eau de Toilette is becoming less relevant rapidly. 37.9% of people who watch School of Scent are subscribed to us. If you guys really want to see our channel grow, go ahead and click subscribe. Let's get that number to 40%. Thank you. Guerlain L'Homme Idéal Extreme. This one's kind of painful because I love this. This is a 9 out of 10 to me. This is a sexy plum, boozy, cinnamon, leather, almond fragrance, a very unique evening scent from the brand of Guerlain. But Guerlain L'Homme Idéal Parfum now exists, and to me that's just a better performing version of Extreme. So it's not that this is irrelevant, it's more like the flanker is better. So save up a little bit more, get the Parfum. I've only sprayed one spray of that fragrance, but from what I'm reading and from my limited experience with that one spray from the department store, the L'Homme Idéal Parfum is better. And also there's Vetiver Parfum, which to me smelled like it's more smooth, a little bit more modern than the original Vetiver also. So these new flankers, again, are kind of updating, revitalizing these ideas, and kind of making the originals redundant in a way. Tom Ford Tobacco Vanille. This is iconic, smooth tobacco, very sexy vanilla, some dried fruits in there, a little bit chocolatey. This is a special occasion evening scent that is replicated beautifully through Al Haramain's Amberu Tobacco Edition. I kind of think if that fragrance now exists, you don't really need to get this. Also, I kind of just feel like this DNA is not as much of a wow factor as it used to be. I feel like Tom Ford needs to just update their game in general. They need to make more iconic and memorable private line scents. It's a general issue for the brand. So in my opinion, those are the reasons why I don't think Tom Ford Tobacco Vanille is worth spending that high price tag for anymore. The original Jean Paul Gaultier Le Mal. Now this one kind of pains me also because this is a fragrance I really like. It is iconic, it's a classic, but it's 30 years old now. This came out in 1995, so that's kind of crazy. And time has flown by for sure. I like the fact that this is an interesting take on a barbershop DNA. It's sugary, sweet, vanillic, minty still, balanced. It's sexy still, but it smells a little bit outdated. I feel like this is still a relevant fragrance for collectors who want to appreciate history and the iconic sense that came before. But there are more modern takes on something like this, like Gucci Guilty Elixir, for example, or even Le Mal Le Parfum, which to me is a more modern take on the original. So yeah, still iconic, still love it, but it's starting to get outdated. It's starting to smell outdated in my opinion. What do you guys think? Yves Saint Laurent La Nuit de l'Homme Bleu Electrique. Sexy, fantastic fragrance, loved it when it first came out. I gave this a 9 out of 10. But now Al Nashama Caprice by Latifah exists, which I think really replicates it beautifully. It's more affordable, more easy to find, and longer lasting. I don't think it's an exact perfect replica, but you now just don't have to worry yourself about this really high difficulty to find it in some certain regions. You don't have to worry about this being really highly priced, let's say, if it's limited in its availability. You can just go for the Latifah fragrance. I think this is a special fragrance. Actually, you'd be surprised. I still think the original Nuit de l'Homme is still relevant, even though it doesn't perform that well. I just feel like it has enough difference to this flanker that has still its own kind of charm to it. But I will say, yeah, you can still get the original. You can get the Le Parfum as well, the black bottle, or you can get Al Nashama Caprice, in my opinion. Those are the three I'm recommending currently right now. I don't think you need to hunt for this anymore, unless you can find it really easily, let's say. Versace The Dreamer. Again, it's a shame I have to put this on the list. I do think this is a cool fragrance. It's iconic, it's historic, but it smells outdated. It came out in the 90s, I think 1996. I don't know my dates anymore, but this kind of smells a bit strange anyways. I think it's a cool fragrance for someone who wants a really weird artistic scent. It's got lavender, tobacco, the florals in here, some nice musky tonka bean also. It's an interesting signature. It's an affordable scent. For this price range, you might see this as a beginner scent, let's say, but for beginners, I would go for something a bit more modern and easier to wear. I am starting to think that this is starting to smell really outdated. What do you guys think? It's approaching its 30th birthday right now. Is Versace The Dreamer still relevant to most people? Yes or no? What do you think? Terre d'Hermès Eau de Toilette. This is a perfect 10 out of 10 to me with this old bottle, which lasts around 14 hours. But most people are saying, or a lot of people are saying anyways at least, that the new formulation is around 6 hours, which is a bit of a shame. I don't really see the point of getting the Eau de Toilette then anymore unless you're happy to reapply, when there's a more modern flanker in Eau Givre, and also you have the Terre d'Hermès Parfum. So you can go for Terre d'Hermès Parfum for the cooler weather, and then in the brighter seasons go for Eau Givre, and you'll have that balance right there. Eau de Toilette, I don't know if you want to spend that money if you are getting something that's been heavily reformulated. It's a fantastic scent, still try it. It's a masterpiece in perfumery in itself, in its scent profile, but yeah, that performance is disappointing. Are you guys getting that similar performance in the new batches still as well? And lastly, Versace Eros, which I just think, I've been saying for many years now, it's not even just this year. It smells plain, basic. There are much better alternatives now. It's your simple, beginner-friendly, loud vanilla scent for the clubs. But there are fragrances like as are the most wanted. There's Le Mal Elixir. There is Scandale Absolu. I don't really see the point of why you need to own Eros anymore. It's synthetic. It smells like it came from its time, 2012, which, 13 years old now, this fragrance. Wow, time is flying, guys. I'm a dinosaur. I'm too old. But anyways, apart from that, forget that, guys. Versace Eros, it does feel outdated to me. It used to be like the hype beast back in the day. Everyone found it really sexy. It had its time. I think it's time to move on. What do you guys think as well? Let me know your thoughts on the Versace Eros DNA. If you really want to get that blue bottle, go for the Parfum, in my opinion. I feel like that's the most kind of modern take on it, and it's more versatile to wear as well. What do you guys think about this list? Do you feel that I've been a bit harsh, a bit unfair? It's always a bit tricky writing these negative topics because everyone will inevitably be hurt seeing some of their favorite fragrances on the list, but sometimes I do think we do have to move on and wear better stuff, more modern stuff. As always, guys, I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments down below. Let us know what you think. And if you guys enjoyed this video, make sure to check out our recent video on affordable alternatives to expensive 10 out of 10 fragrances. I'll see you guys there. Bye.